Hi guys. So to build a micro community or a community, you very likely need a piece of land. And although there's a lot of land in Paraguay, once you start searching, you realize that it's not easy to find a piece of land in Paraguay, which is paradoxical, right? You can quickly buy a lotes, so those very so small parcel of usually 12 meters by 30 meters for, I would say, 4, 5, 6,000 euro, maybe a bit more than that. But if you are looking at a large piece of land, then it's very likely that you're gonna spend days, weeks, or even months, maybe some spend even years, to find it. And so as for the community that I would like to build as a team, we're looking for a piece of land. Let me talk to you about the criteria that we think are relevant to look for a piece of land. So I'm going to go through the list. That might be boring, but you realize that if you look for land in Paraguay, you're gonna have to do that. Either you delegate the process to someone else, but a lot of people do the job by themselves because finding a very good real estate agent, someone who is really able to find what you look for based on your criteria, understand fully your criteria, and really narrow down to those criteria, and it's not easy at all. You tell them you want A, B, C, and then you get A plus E, F, G. That's it. All right, so let's go. First criteria, the land is legally owned. It sounds trivial, but it's very important. A lot of land here are being sold by people who do not have the title, or they don't own the full land, or it could be the land is owned by their sister, whatever. So it's very important that the title be under the name of the person who is selling the land. It could be that you're talking to a representative, but you need to talk to someone, the guy who owns the land and has his name on the title. Make sure that the land is not owned by multiple people at the same time. Make sure that there's no mortgage or payment linked to the land. The second criteria is very important as well. Not in an area of intensive farming, especially soybean, because a lot of fertilizer will be used and mean that your land is very likely to be contaminated. I did a video on that. You can watch it separately, but it's important because if you buy a piece of land and the soil, the water, and even the air, because they spray through drones or small planes, is loaded with toxin, then you are impacting your health. And I don't think you are moving to Paraguay to fall again under toxins. Third criteria, I'm looking at my phone because there's a lot of criteria. A land with a clear perimeter. Many land don't have a clear perimeter. So it means you need to refer to what we call the cadastre, land registry, where you've got a map, a picture of the land with the GPS coordinate of every angle, the distance and everything. And this needs to be taken by someone who is a professional at doing this job. And even you hire, even if you hire someone who is whose profession is to measure the land and to set coordinate and stuff like that, they may not do their job properly. I had a friend who had to hire 3 of them. The third one did a good job. The 2 previous ones did a shitty job. And so before buying the land, you want really to go on the land, check the GPS coordinate, everything needs to be crystal clear. Because otherwise you may buy a land, start building, realize that actually you have built on a part of the land that is owned by the neighbor. And that's possible. It happened to some of my connections. They started building their house and then they realized later that it wasn't their land. Yeah. How crazy is that? So make sure there's a clear perimeter. If there's a fence, it's even better. It makes the work easier. Then you may have a criteria around the land size. So how many hectares or how many square meters you're looking for. In our context, we're looking between 15 and 60 hectares. Then a criteria around potentially the land shape. So a lot of land in Paraguay are like a strip. So where the length is much longer than the width, and you often get things like a kilometer long by 100 meters wide. So if you never live and spend time on those pieces of land, you would quickly realize that they are not convenient, because usually the entry is on one side of the property. If you want to reach the other side, there's sometimes, often actually no roads, and so you can't enter through the other side. So whatever you're gonna build need to be, so you can make a road, it's an option. You're gonna make a road on 1 kilometer long to be able to reach the other side. But if you start building at the beginning, and if you build a community and there's people at the end of the land, then it's not convenient. That's why I prefer shape which are rectangular, where the length doesn't disproportionately outweigh the width. Like 400 meter by 500 meter, it's good, it's manageable, and it's easy. Some land have actually like almost like a round shape, and it's even better because you can put something in the middle, like common space in the middle, and then it forms like a circle. So it's different configuration. Often when they sell the land, it's actually an aggregation of multiple pieces of land that they own. They have purchased different pieces of land that's being stuck together, and then they sell everything. That's why many times they are weird shape. But the most common shape here is a strip. That's it. Next, you could potentially have a criteria in terms of how far away from Ascension you want to be. And you would have this criteria based on different things. Do you want to do business, for instance? So if you do business, you don't want to be too far from Ascension. Some people will even be in Ascension. But I would say there's the distance by the road, so the asphalt road, and then there's the distance by those type of road, right? So you could be not too far from on the asphalt. Let's imagine that you are an hour away from the with the asphalt, but then on the pista, on the dirt road, you may be half hour away. Even if it's just like, I don't know, 10 to 15 kilometers. Depending on the quality of the dirt road, it can take a significant amount to actually do just a few kilometers. So it's important to factor that in. So how far do you want to be from Ascension? Point number 9, the water stream. So I think it's very important to have access to water on your land. So there's the concept of having the source, so water on the ground where you can dig a well, but also water stream. So what they call a arroyo, like a small river. And be careful here because they sometimes call a river a very, very thin stream of water. So be very, very clear about that. Like, yeah, I want a stream of water that is at least 2 or 3 meters wide and a significant flow of water, because they are quick to call a very basic stream of water a river, and that's not the case at all. Water sources. You may have in your criteria to have a water source directly on the land. So there's a lot of water under the ground in Paraguay. I would assume that as soon as you dig 5, 6, 7 meters, you find water. A well, so if you dig an artesian well, it's usually 180 meters. There's wells that even go deeper than that, I think up to 250 or 300 meters to reach deeper layers of water where the quality is even higher. But it's important to get access to water on your land because water is key. Although your land may be connected to public water, the quality of public water, I wouldn't bet that it's great, seriously. Especially given how they build things and maintain things in Paraguay. Yeah. All right, next. So we talk about water, but water quality, right? So you want to be able to assess the quality of the water. Although you may have access to water, the water may be of poor quality. So what you want to do is take a sample of the water and get it tested. It's very important. Give me a few seconds. Yeah, so let's imagine, for instance, you have a river, so you have a stream of water. The origin of the stream of water is not on your property. On the other property, when the water originates, you've got sheep, cows, and they actually pee and shit in the water. Yeah. In that case, your water is polluted. And it could be even dangerous for you to go swim and swallow water. So be careful about this. Tree. So you may have a criteria around the, oops, that's funny. They're having a race. That's Paraguay. All right. The tree coverage. So you're gonna see a lot of land for sale, and it's basically only trees. Be careful about that because that might be great to have trees, but once you get there, you realize how crazy and how fast the nature is taking over and growing. So it's funny, I was visiting a land this morning, and so it's not expensive, but to clear 1 hectare of trees, so they will not clear the main trees, but they will clear all the other things, right? The weed, the small trees and stuff like that. It's 2 million guaranis per hectare. But the key point here is when you have a very large tree coverage, let's say 90+%, then it's a lot to maintain. So you can't maintain it by yourself. It's almost impossible if you have a large piece of land. So you're gonna use and involve local folks. That's the way it's going to work, but factor that in. So trees is good for the soil, it's good for shadow, but you don't want a very, very high percentage of tree coverage, unless there's a very specific reason you're looking for that. The soil, you want the soil to be fertile. So it's getting hot. Whoops. Give me 1 second. You want the soil to be fertile. You will find some areas. Oops, sorry. Yes. Yep. Give me 1 second. Yep. You will find some areas where the sun has literally burned the soil. The rain has eroded the soil. And in that case, don't expect to plant anything on the soil. The soil is literally dead. There's no nutrient inside. So you want to make sure you purchase a piece of land where the soil is fertile so that you can grow things. You can grow a tree, you can grow vegetable, fruit tree, whatever it is that you want to grow. All right? That is important. And there's people who are experts here in Paraguay that can give you advice on the soil quality. Next, connectivity to electricity. So you may want to be connected to electricity so the grid basically, if you are not autonomous from an energy perspective. You have the possibility to get solar panels, although it's really, really not developed in Paraguay. If you have a stream of water, and depending on whether you have some kind of waterfall or you want to create this thing, you can create an hydro dam. I was talking to Marco Vogt, for those who know him, yesterday, and he was telling me there's a small device, like it's a tube of 10 cm of diameter, and just with that you can already generate, I think, 1,500 watts of electricity. So that could be a very good solution to have access to electricity. But otherwise, you may want to be connected to the grid. You may want to have a medium tension line directly arriving on your land. Why a medium tension line directly arriving on your land? Because it prevents neighbors to connect directly to your line. If it's a medium tension line, they won't do that. If it's a low tension line, 220 volts, then they can easily go connect to your line and take your power. And it's quite common in Paraguay. Don't be fooled. You may want your land to be connected to public water or not. Okay. Connectivity to internet. There's a lot of fiber development and fiber installation around Paraguay. You have literally small villages that are connected to fiber through the operators. Starlink is also available. You go to Nice, for instance, and you can buy your Starlink kit. So that's for internet and might be important for some of you who work online. The view. Some of you may want a view, some of you don't really care. It might be one of the criteria. If you are searching for land, for instance, in the Cordillera de los Altos, then you may have an insane view on the rest of Paraguay. If you are on a flat land, then it's very likely you have no view. It could be that you want to be more in a remote area, not visible actually, so in that case you may also have no view or little view. I visited a land this morning which was really nice. You have a really, really great view, but high percentage of tree coverage. So through the tree you're gonna see the view, which is not bad as well, because sometimes you don't want like to be on top of a mountain or on top of a hill and then there's no tree coverage. So you have a great view, but it's really open. Talking about the tree coverage, I forgot to mention that You've got tree coverage, and the rest is usually pasture. It could be also rocks, but usually it's pasture. And you may want to say, like, for instance, I want 50% of tree coverage because I want 50% of pasture for the cows or for the animal that I will raise. Fruit tree. The tree that generate fruits. It could be quite useful. I have met many foreigners that have this criteria of having a fruit tree. So I'm talking about what? Naranja, so orange, mandarin, banana, what else? Mango tree, yeah. Coconuts, the small coconuts as well. What else? And so not all land have fruit tree. Actually, it's not that easy to find land with fruit tree. You may have very big mango tree, especially in the Cordillera. There's quite a lot. But this might be a criteria for you, because if you need to grow fruit tree, after 3 years they will be 1 to 3 meter high. But those massive mango tree, for instance, that you see sometime, they are 20, 30, 40 years old. And it just takes so much time to grow those trees. So yes, things grow quite fast in Paraguay, but it will take a significant amount of time. Sorry, there's a lot of bugs in Paraguay and mosquitoes. Let me look at my criteria. Sun exposure. Yeah, you may have a criteria regarding sun exposure. You may think that we go into like detail, but sun exposure can be very important depending on the relief of the land and the orientation. If you have a very strong sun exposure, then you may really suffer from it, especially in summertime. I have seen multiple land where it's basically almost like against a zero, so there's a cliff, and so the cliff is not bad because it provides some shadow. Let's say from 4 p.m. then the sun falls behind the cliff, and then you've got some shadows and stuff like that. It can be really nice to have an area that is not too much exposed to the sun, because if you are, I have seen land that are fully exposed to the sun from the morning to the evening, and it's just, no, that's not cool. It's too much sun, and actually you see that the soil is burned most of the time. It's not usable. Then if you build a community, you may have this criteria around natural protection, like some relief that kind of protect you from outside. It can be a cliff, it can be a large rock, whatever. The fencing, although it's not too expensive to put in place a fence, it may be time consuming. So if the land has already a fence and it's clearly delimited, then it's a plus. What else? The wind, you will realize that there's some area, because Paraguay is kind of the middle, is landlocked. So there's some area that are almost constantly windy, and some wind it's cool, but constant wind it's not fun at all. So factor that in as well. So based on those criteria, actually, you can't find all those criteria everywhere in Paraguay, because Paraguay is mostly flatland. So there's 3 main areas where we're looking to purchase land to build a community. Is the Cordillera de los Altos, so this hilly range from San Bernardino to General Caballero, which is after Sapucay. So it's an area which is quite long, I would say. It goes from San Bernardino to just after Sapucay. You've got a good 60-70 kilometers. It's not large. It's maximum 4-5 kilometers large. Then there's the area of La Colmena, which is basically an island in Paraguay, but there's hilly area as well. It's nice, but the price is going up. And then there's the area of Independencia, which is kind of the German area. So now you've got criteria for your land. It's for you to, you can get some inspiration from our own criteria, but define your own criteria. Define what is a must-have and what is optional. And then in terms of price. So I'll say rough pricing for land in those areas is 40 million per guaranis, 40 million, so 40 million guaranis per hectare, which is the mosquito. Even the mosquito can bite you through all your clothes. It's just, wow, that's only made in Paraguay. Sorry about that. So 40 million per hectares, and then you've got variation. In the current context, price, I wouldn't be surprised to see inflation very quickly, and actually it has started, because when I discussed with my friend in, for instance, La Colmena, in 2020, 17 million per hectare for one guy who bought to purchase, so 17 million per hectare. In 2024, so end of 2024, beginning of 2025, we are at 60 million per hectare, so it's time for in 5 years. And right now, I would say sorry about that. The car, that's cool. Let's say every 6 months there's price increase now. And I think we are just at the beginning, because the trend of number of foreigners arriving here and number of people promoting Paraguay as a place to invest and allocate part of your wealth is just growing by the day, right? So many people advertise Paraguay, yet they don't realize that if every foreigner was to allocate part of his wealth to Paraguay, then we actually create inflation. So it doesn't really help, and I'm not in favor of like people just having a plan B and then purchasing a large piece of land, but they really bring inflation. So in that context, that's not cool, and don't be surprised that at some point the government will take steps to limit the entry of foreigners, because I was discussing with a local, like literally half an hour ago, who was telling me people, locals, start to complain about this, right? Basically, it's difficult to make money for them and things like that. Well, let me move a bit, because insects, once they have spotted you, it's game over. Yeah, so you want to have a criteria around the price, and can be price per hectare, can be size. It's for you to define what's your budget, but the price of land is definitely increased. Alright, I'm finishing the video at home because first the device overheated and I was really attacked by a mosquito. You can even see the mosquito sucking my blood without even me realizing it. That was quite insane. Alright, so coming back on the list of criteria, we were talking about the price. Inflation is definitely arriving, and it has started. Area like Piribuibui, the price has significantly increased, 50%, 100%. Like Colmena, it has increased. Cordillera de los Altos, it's pretty big, so it progressively increased. But don't forget that the price don't increase by 5% every 2 or 3 months. They increase by 50 or 100% every 1 or 2 years. So in that context, basically price increase like a stair, right? Not at all linear. Does it mean you need to rush? Maybe not, because there's still land available, and especially there's a lot of fraction available, like small parcel. But the number of large pieces of land available is definitely diminishing, and there's a competition to get them, I would say. The price are increasing, and all this will lead to inflation, definitely. That's the context. It's not surprising. I've already experienced that in Thailand. I have seen this happening also in Portugal, where over the past 5-6 years there was a higher demand, a large demand from foreigners, and then the price of land like increased significantly, 100, 200, 300%, right? To the point where it's not, it doesn't make sense to pay those prices anymore, especially for Paraguay, I would say. So that's the situation that's the trend that we are likely to experience in Paraguay if things are not managed properly by the government, right? So this is a list of criteria. We're using those criteria as a group to find a place to start building a community. I invite you to just review them, see the one that makes sense for you, pick the one that makes sense. The others, just throw them away, it doesn't matter. You may have also other criteria. Maybe you express it in a better way than I do. Feel free to share with everyone. I'll put below the list of the criteria so that you can access them and we can improve them so that everyone benefits from that. At the end of the day, the goal is to find a piece of land that really meet the needs of the people who want to live in this community. Thank you. Cheers.